because as Claire is going to be sharing some of her story, her journey, and her top tips regarding earning the Accredited Speaker designation, you'll see that I'm wearing my pin right here. And I was the youngest female still to this day. That is true, Daniel. Thank you. That I'm hoping someone beats that, okay? I probably wouldn't even mind being the oldest one. So give you an idea. Connor Cuneen, originally from Ireland, is now in Chicago, Illinois. He is a speaker who speaks on humor. He is a two-time cancer survivor, and he is a stellar professional speaker. Connor, Claire, and I are on a program for District 71 coming up on May 21. So if you'd like to attend that panel, then you can pop me a note on that. We also have Yelena Babalova, that originally from Russia. She is living in Seattle, Washington, here in the US. She is a concert pianist. She is one of the top 10 grand pianists. This is her on stage, by the way, earning her accredited speaker designation and in concert, Steinway specifically. So the lady I'm about to introduce you to is Europe's first and only residential accredited speaker. The very first in England, the very first in Europe, and you are going to be hearing her story. She was the 70th of the 88 who have earned this elite designation for outstanding platform presentation skills. I'm honored to call her my accredited speaker sister. So let's welcome Clare Crowther.
Thank you, Sheryl. Who here had heard of Accredited Speaker before it appeared on the programme for this conference, either with show of hands or virtual thumbs up? We're looking like quite a lot less than half of us. There's some more thumbs going up there. Fantastic. Sheryl and I want to really change that and make sure that everybody has heard of it, so that if it is applicable to you, you'll be able to go for it. Conference chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, my accredited speaker journey. When I got up and dressed on Saturday, the 30th of May, 2015, I had not got an inkling of the amazing journey I was about to start. I was heading for the second ever meeting of Appleby Advanced Speakers. Phil Heath of Strictly Speaking Harrogate was giving an educational. Experienced Toastmasters have heard a lot of educationals, and I was relaxed with my brain in neutral, waiting for that golden nugget. And Phil's first words engaged me immediately. There is a Toastmasters International prestigious award for professional speakers, the Accredited Speaker Award. The what? I'd never heard of it. Phil quoted Toastmasters International, who say the Toastmasters International Accredited Speaker Programme is designed for professional speakers who combine expert knowledge of a particular subject with mastery of the spoken word, making them sought after experts in their respective fields. Ooh, that made me sit up. I think I need to take some notes. Phil outlines the three things that you need. You need speeches, you need recommendations, and you need a video. My mind's racing. Tell me more, Phil. You need to submit an application between the 1st and 31st of January, demonstrating that over the last 3 years, you have given 25 speeches to non-Toastmaster audiences of 20 or more people, each speech at least 20 minutes long. 15 of the speeches must be paid. For 5 of the paid speeches, you must have a recommendation from 5 different clients. And for 1 speech, you must submit a video. Oh, I've got all that. And then he continued. The 5 recommendations have to be on the Toastmasters International recommendation form. Oh, well, obviously I haven't got that. I didn't know anything about it. And the speech, the video, must have a professional introduction. I'm sure a lot of you video my speeches so that I can get them better, but I don't video the introductions. Accreditations in qualifications in the other areas of my business, so program management, workshop facilitation, executive coaching, but not in public speaking. I could take some time to review my last 3 years. It is a prestigious award and it sounds like it'd be worth the effort. At this point, I hadn't realised quite how much effort it was going to be. Don't let me sugarcoat it. It's tough, it's work, it's stress. Sheryl, my eventual mentor extraordinaire, let me know that less than 1% of applicants receive the credential. So why do people apply for the award? Some may want the badge, illustrated beautifully here. Others the challenge. Can I catch this elusive butterfly? And Sheryl herself said she wanted to prove to herself if she was truly good enough to be pro, which she clearly is.
So then I'll continue some of the story here. I'll share with you my story and please admit her as soon as she comes back on. Back in 1993, there's 2 levels of judging. Very first with the application at that time was audio cassette. Remember those? I needed to submit that. My presentation was on higher self-empowerment for women, a little bit spiritual. At that time, all the judges were men. And there was not much diversity at that time. I didn't even know that there were any female accredited speakers awarded at that particular time. It wasn't until much later. So level 1, they passed me, but then they also said, please consider having a topic that is more general in nature and all-encompassing, as you will be presenting your level 2 as a live presentation at the International Convention, which that year happened to be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. There were a couple of other candidates who were going for the presentation, it's a designation. It is a professional designation. And it was the shortest presentation I've ever given of 16 minutes. And today, as Claire will continue her story here, that today level 2 are 15 to 18 minutes. So when candidates say it can't be done, and Claire was talking about the stress and it's tough and it's not for everyone, I can attest to that. So with that, Claire, are you ready to continue your story?
I'm not exactly sure where I got to, but let me say that Phil had outlined everything that we needed. So I analysed all my invoices, my emails and my feedback forms to make sure that I'd got the right number of speaking engagements and the right audience numbers. And I had everything except for the 5 recommendation forms, which I chose some clients who kindly said they'd use the Toastmasters form. And the other thing was the video, because I hadn't ever recorded professional introductions. I remember there was a conference I did in York. Seen a cameraman in the audience, and if I could get hold of him, which I did eventually, and he had filmed the introduction as well, and with the permission of the client, I had my video to send off. So everything was submitted in the January. And I waited and I waited. And eventually on the 30th of April, I got the email I was information about going to Washington, DC for the Accredited Speaker Award. And it said this: we appreciate your interest in the Accredited Speaker program. After careful consideration, that judges have determined not to advance you to the next level of judging. Oh. Washington. Oh, you know the expression 24 hours to celebrate a success and 24 hours to mourn a failure, then pick yourself up and get on with it. Well, I did pick myself up eventually. The feedback from the judges was against some judging criteria, which I didn't know about. But it was extremely helpful to try and start to do the next year's application. Luckily, I was about to give a speech on unconscious bias, where I was able to arrange having it videoed, including the introduction. The other thing I had the opportunity to do, because I hadn't finished writing the speech, was to absorb what the judges had said, look at the judging criteria so I knew that I could hit it, and then give the speech, get the video and send it off. So now I've got my video. Is that the job done? Am I ready to go for the next year? Not quite. You remember the last 3 years part of the requirements? Back in 2013, I'd given an enormous amount of qualifying speeches. This 3 years is a rolling 3 years. They dropped off the list. Recently, I had been running much more focused workshops and a lot of one-to-one executive coaching. Oh no, I'm short of speeches. I appealed to my networks and, as usual, Toastmaster colleagues were among those who stepped in to book me for events. And I submitted everything. The very next day, and I'm not sure if you can see my video, but I'm showing you a Toastmaster magazine that dropped through my letterbox, which has 2 articles of how to achieve the Accredited Speaker Award, written by Aldona Luis Fernandez and Darren LaCroix. One day too late to influence my application. I wrote to both of them there and then asking, if I get through level 1, will you please share some further hints and tips for level 2? And they both said yes. When I got up and dressed on Saturday, the 20th of May 2017 for another Appleby Advanced Speakers meeting, 2 years after Phil's educational, I had not an inkling of the challenging journey I was about to begin. Before heading out the door to Appleby, I just checked my emails. Dear Claire, congratulations. You passed level 1. You're one step closer to becoming an accredited speaker. We invite you to speak live the 2017 International Convention held in Vancouver, Canada. I'm going to Vancouver. I was beside myself with excitement. My Appleby Advanced Speakers friends were there at the beginning. They'd supported me all the way through, and how apt they will be the first to know that I am going to Vancouver. The Toastmasters family are great, aren't they? So supportive and so pleased for you and your accomplishments. There really is nothing else like it. Now the hard work begins. For level 2, I decided that I would reduce my half-day workshop on coaching for managers down to an 18-minute speech. Yes, with less than 3 months to go, I started to craft a brand new speech. Lots of burning midnight oil, wondering why on earth I was doing it. 2 learning points. 1, use the same speech for level 1 and 2. It'll save you a lot of stress. And also submit about a 20-minute speech for your level 1 video. That way, there's a lot less pruning and you'll have the feedback from the judges to fine-tune it. In parallel to crafting my new speech, I contacted Aldona and Darren, and 2 of their recommendations I embraced with gusto. One was engage accredited speakers mentors, which were listed on a website that I hadn't discovered. Now, by the way, they're on the main website, so you can access the accredited speakers mentors. Secondly, buy the 2016 accredited speaker video, because there were 5 candidates, 2 passed, 3 didn't. By watching this video, you can endeavour to get into the mindset of the judges. Who knew? Criteria, mentors, videos. How had I gone on this journey for 2 years without the criteria, without knowing there were mentors willing to help me navigate through the requirements? It's like driving from Paris to Brussels with no map, just the road numbers and only some of the junctions and not an exact destination. Once I had my first draft, I appealed to my Toastmaster friends and others to help me to practice. For these practices, I developed a feedback form based on the judging criteria.
All right, let's continue to watch for her. Her journey really is quite something. And when she's talking about the mentors, yes, go to the Toastmasters.org site. And matter of fact, let's see if Virginia, you would put the link to the Accredited Speaker Program into the chat box, then you can go there. I was there just a couple of days ago, and of the 88 accredited speakers who have earned the professional designation since 1981, About 43 to 44 of us are still alive and very active, and we are available to you for mentoring. So you do want to take a look at that. As Claire comes back in and we're looking for who's going to be receiving these hour of coaching with each of us there, is start thinking about, are you already eligible for the accredited speaker? Over 3 years time, 25 outside non-Toastmaster presentations. Claire, let me know when you are ready to continue your story. And of those 25, 15 must be paid. All right, so she's good. Take it away, sister.
Just give me a thumbs up. Was I talking about having to give my practice speech to non-Toastmasters audiences and how sometimes it comes across as criticism? They're not trained in doing commend, recommend, commend. And I found it very discouraging. I became overwhelmed and I just almost gave up. And then I reflected on all the people who've been supportive and felt it would be very, very wrong to give up and disrespect all the effort they had put in. So I gave myself a serious talking to. And I also got two things in quick succession. One was from one practice session, I got two diametrically opposed bits of feedback. So obviously I couldn't do both. And Eldonna recommended treat feedback as information, choose what to accept. And no matter what you take on board, make sure you are still you. Or as Sheryl said earlier, be who you be. So it's 3 learning points. Be aware that non-Toastmasters audience can give what feels like critical feedback. Treat feedback as information and, of course, be who you be. One other unexpected piece of advice from both male and female mentors was decide what you're going to wear. Well, I've done that. I'm just going to wear my favourite dress. I'll show it you. It's lovely. It's black and red and white with a nice black jacket. It's flattering and it's comfortable. Anyway, what's I'm going to wear got to do with it? Surely it's what I say and how I say it that matters. Let's leap straight to the 2 learning points, shall we? First is check the backdrop, as you do not want to clash or to blend in. In Vancouver, it was black. I'd have vanished. Second one, wear a bold colour. My pattern dress would have disappeared for anybody more than a third of the way back down the hall, and your judges can be anywhere in the hall. And I've been converted to red, by the way. Can you tell? I used to wear all muted colours and now I wear bold colours. At long last, I do arrive in Vancouver. The day before the level 2 judging, there's dress and technical rehearsal, time to walk the stage, check my slides, check my volume, both loud and quiet. The level 2 day itself is very exciting, especially when I achieved and was presented with the award. It was followed by a press conference and meet your public. And I can share tips on those 2 whirlwind days with you once you pass level 1 and hopefully go for one of these. I know Sheryl has one as well somewhere. There we go. One wonderful plaque that you get. What next? Although I am the first accredited speaker based in England. Oh, there's Sheryl. She's showing her. Oh, that's amazing. Look at that. Though I'm the first in Europe, I am keen to be the first of many. I've joined the list of mentors to help you to navigate your path to accredited speaker should you wish to do so. In addition, I want to appeal to everyone here today to raise awareness of the award amongst those Toastmasters for whom it is absolutely relevant. It's a hidden jewel that deserves to see the light of day. Please share your knowledge from today along with the learning points. And let's have many more European accredited speakers. Back to you, Sheryl.
And Claire, thank you that we can provide our professional coaching services to our fellow Toastmasters here. So well done. I was impressed as you're going through, please do the same thing, of what are people's goals? So as Claire had said, we do want more accredited speakers in Europe. The red carpet is rolled out for you. There's often a question of, well, how many people can receive the designation in 1 year? As many as apply. It's interesting that most people disqualify at the application stage, that it's at the application stage, I believe on one year it was 29 applicants, only 7 went on to level 1 judging. At level 1 judging, where most people disqualify, is the lack of professional video. So the year that I qualified, and I qualified first time, not everyone does, by the way, and as Claire had said that she made it on her second attempt, our candidate from this year being the very first virtual presentation for the accredited speaker, as with the world champion as well, was completely virtual, that it was his 7th attempt, by the way, his 7th attempt. Yes, he was very persistent. He reached out for mentoring and he brought it back to, it was the video. And he also makes a note, Mohammed Shukri from the Kingdom of Bahrain, and I spoke there 2 years ago on this accredited speaker program on the main stage with our current president, international president, Richard Peck, and a lot of details regarding the program there. And it was interesting because Mohammed said in one of his recent interviews that he was not speaking about his topic of expertise. And that's what the judges want to see. So what I share with you is to be all you can be. Are you thinking, how can you become a better expert in what you're doing? So Christelle, thank you very much that you are becoming and are an expert in world exploration. So how are you stretching? What are the goals? In this session, we've taken a look at attitudes, 5 of them, 7 different sparkle boosters of how can we stay focused and keep that spark alive in us. Because of the third point, we want to be all that we can be, to be the best versions that we can be, to stretch ourselves with those bigger goals. And again, to quote Helen Blanchard, you know, if you can get everything you can get out of this organization, you'll never get out of this organization. Take a look at the program. How are you best maximizing it? This is one of the best investments you'll ever make in your entire life. So it's been our privilege to serve as your co-presenters for this keynote message. And I'm Sheryl Roush, based in New York City, New York, because my big goal was to live on a lake. I'm looking at the lake. If you've seen me look outside, it's because the lake is absolutely beautiful and it's sparkling back at me. And across the street is a full golf course. So I moved from the palm trees of San Diego, diagonal across the US map into New York. Wherever you are, whatever you do, make sure to love what you do. And stand up and sparkle and dream big dreams. So Virginia, our moderator, our fabulous moderator, Daniel, back to you. And gosh, it's been our pleasure to serve you today. Belgium, be all you can be.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sheryl. Yeah, look, I can applaud and talk at the same time. It's the advantage of the online world. Now, you are admirably timely despite all of the technical problems. And so I am almost tempted to say that we should open the floor for questions. Do we have anybody who wants to quickly put a question into the chat? We talked about many more European accredited speakers, which is a fantastic goal. Do you want to briefly, in 30 seconds, while people are putting questions into the chat, do you want to briefly explain just the top 3 things that you think that you get out of being an accredited speaker?
Oh, great questions. Claire, would you like to go first? Unmute. There we go.
Yep. For me, it was recognition locally. I'd been trying for some time to speak in the Rotary clubs because I was trying to raise some money for charity and they weren't interested in spite of all my business background. But when I got the accredited speaker and all the PR that went with it, I got straight into 2 Rotary clubs to talk to them. So that was what it did for me. It raised my profile.
Yeah, raised profile. Excellent. Anything else you want to add, or should I just go straight to Sheryl? Sheryl, do you want to add something?
I'd be happy to. What earning this plaque did for me professionally, it put me in the creme de la creme, because from it, then it gave me the credibility. And public speaking has traditionally been a male-dominated industry. So had Toastmasters, by the way. From it gave me credibility to be viewed as an equal, not as an other. It gave me professional credibility. And when in my introductions, it's often stated that she was the 28th in the world of 143 countries, over 4.4 million people who have participated in the Toastmasters International program. That speaks volumes. What it did for my fees was I could charge more because of that credential. Writing books, all of those things help. Any type of anything that you can do. I'm a certified virtual presenter, so a CVP that you go through credentials, anything like that that you can do, it adds to your credibility. And for me, it increased fees, but more so, it proved to myself, and as Claire shared, because we've had these conversations that, and on the booklet at that particular time, back in 1992, the booklet said, "Are you good enough to be pro?" ? And I thought, I don't know. This is a good way to find out. It was a huge stretch, huge stretch. And at the convention where I actually I was getting ready to go and give my level 2 presentation, because there's judges in the audience, and it's a pass or fail, by the way. 4 out of 5 judges must pass you, or it is a fail. So every person who applies can earn the designation. And I remember I was up on the Hall of Fame stage because I was in education and training. That was my position. We would know it as PQD, today Program Quality Director. I was receiving an award for setting a world record, by the way, of club officer training. Now, my background for 47 years is marketing, and I marketed, and you give members what it is that they want and need, and they will show up. And they will step up. And that was my whole philosophy, being in the district leadership with that. And I remember World Headquarters staff dashing me through the hallway into the amphitheater where I was to be speaking for my presentation. And at that time, it was a 20 to 60 minute allowance for the presentation. The person ahead of me, their fears overcame them and they stepped off the program. Yeah, Claire, I don't think you ever knew that story. So it was in alphabetical order by first name, which is kind of fun. So I was the next one up. No notice. I opened with magic. I closed rewriting a song. Everything tied into, it was called Percolating Power, the magic of having more passion and purpose in your life. And I had never done magic before. So I enlisted a professional magician, which I know you have incredible talent at this conference. Then I pulled flame out of a Toastmasters coffee mug. And then I brought all of that together. And when I was seated, the standing ovation continued for so long that the international director needed to command the audience to be seated. Now, I don't say that to brag. I say that to be humble, that when we give a presentation, our purpose is transformation and hope, regardless of our topic. How can we help people transform their lives and give them a sense of hope, regardless of what it is that we're talking about? That standing ovation meant I reached my own personal objectives, because my personal mission statement is to leave the planet a better place for having been here. Whatever it is that you're speaking on, I sure hope that you keep those main concepts in mind. Don't just speak to hear yourself speak. Hello, I did that for 10 CTMs, 10 CCs, by the way. So I was speaking just to hear myself talk. Then my own transformation occurred where it shifted from ego into service. So I hope that every chance that you get an opportunity to speak, that you use it to serve others.
Excellent, excellent. I'm going to ask you just one last question. I was looking, it doesn't seem that we have any particular questions, but I have a question for both of you, because of course, not everybody is going to be an accredited speaker. And of course, we have some speakers who are at the beginning of their journey. From your years of experience, I'm going to ask both of you, could you give just one tip to somebody starting out in their journey, one tip of something profound that you've learned about public speaking and being a better public speaker?
Go ahead, Claire.
Yeah, go for it, Claire.
I would say when you're preparing your speech, to think how you would like your audience to feel as a result of the gift of your speech, and then focus on making sure that that feeling comes across in your speech.
Cool. Good advice. Very good advice. Sheryl, what do you have to add?
Be authentic.
Mm.
Clear and simple. Be who you be. I mean it when I say it. Don't try and be someone you're not. Don't speak about topics that you do not passionately resonate with. And I did it too. I did it too. My basic manual, I spoke on goal setting. I do it, but I shouldn't speak on it. I spoke on time management. I do it, but I shouldn't speak on it. So it gave me an opportunity to flesh out what I should not be speaking about so that I could truly find what's my heart, what's my passion of those particular topics. I look at, and any presentation that I give, have a conversation. And I see some chats. Thank you very much for acknowledging that have a conversation, create a dialogue instead of a speech that is memorized, that you talk at people. Speak with people. People want to be reached. Make us laugh, make us cry, help us change. And that relates whether it's a 5 to 7 minute speech or a 50 to 70 minute speech. It could be your elevator pitch, your 20 seconds in meeting someone. How can they get who you are? And it's interesting because when it came to Sparkle, I didn't brand myself that. It was audiences who branded me the Sparkle Lady. That comes back to be authentic, be who you be, and be the best that you can be at that. And don't speak to hear yourself speak. Speak because it's a message. You have a calling in your heart, regardless of the topic, and be the best that you can be. And that's where in Toastmasters, you polish up those skills. I would not have done the things that you saw earlier in this program had it not been for the safe practice environment of Toastmasters. Use this program, maximize it, and bring other people into your club. And if you belong to, I'm going to do a call to action here. If you belong to a club, which is an advanced club, which might be dedicated to promoting professional speakers or the longer presentations, or to support those going for the accredited speaker designation, please promote your club in the chat box so that other people can see, because they can become a member of more than one club. And then, as Claire was saying, oh yes, and there was some, these comments that we get, again, don't take it personally. That was Sparkle Booster number 5. You could take it professionally. How will this serve you in going forward? Be open to the feedback, but also trust yourself and be yourself. Don't try and morph into the next Tony Robbins. We don't need another one of him. He's doing fine on himself. So instead, be you. Be you. These are great questions. Thanks, Daniel.
Excellent. My pleasure. Well, look, I think all that remains is for me to give a vote of thanks to Sheryl and to Claire. Sheryl, your advice was to be grateful and to look for the good. So there's plenty to be grateful for today, and it was easy to find the good. First of all, your good advice, the unconditional support systems, was genuinely new to me, and I found it very helpful to think in those terms. Second, your sparkly attitude, you made us laugh. You made us maybe cry, and you help us change. It's about transformation and hope, and I think it's genuinely, authentically something that you want to do, and that came across. And third, of course, thank you for bringing an excellent friend, Claire. Claire, we apologize for all the technical problems, and you rolled with these as a good professional, and it still worked. Sheryl, you also said, don't take things personally. Well, I hope you will make an exception for us. Please take it personally when we say thank you so much to both of you for your time and your generosity. People pay a lot for both of your time, and you give it to us for free. So that is so kind. Thank you very much. Here's to many, many more European accredited speakers. And as is the tradition in our wonderful continent, I hope that 50% of them will be women.